And I will read one paragraph to bring up to the speed, and then we will continue. When Sisupal was thus killed, a great roar and howl went up from the crowd of that assembly. Taking advantage of that disturbance, the few kings who were supporters of the Sisupal quickly left the assembly out of fear of their lives. But despite all this, the fortunate Sisupal's spirit soul immediately merged into the body of Lord Krishna in the presence of all the members, exactly as a burning meteor falls into the surface of the globe. Sisupal's souls merging into the transcendental body of Krishna remind us of the story of Jai and Vijay, who fell to the material world from the Vaikuntha planet upon being cursed by the four Kumaras. For the return to the Vaikuntha world, it was arranged that both Jai and Vijay, for three consecutive births, would act as deadly enemies of the Lord. And at the end of these lives, they would again return to the Vaikuntha world and serve the Lord and his associates. So that was the option was given to them, that either you accept this, become demon, in three life you will deliver. So they choose that because they can go back quickly. So it's very difficult to understand those that this all this demon we think that they are, but they were came a lot of them to give just the pleasure to Krishna, because nobody in the spiritual world wants to fight with Krishna. Although Sisupal acted as enemy of Krishna, he was not for a single moment out of Krishna consciousness. Hari Bol. He was always absorbed in thought of Krishna, and thus he got first the salvation of Sayuja Mukti, merging into the existence of God. There are five types of liberation. The first one is the Sayuja Mukti, then Sarupya, Salokya, Samipya, Srushti. Those are the four other stage of liberation. Merging into the existence of the Supreme and finally become reinstated in his original position of personal service. The Bhagavad Gita corroborates the fact that if one is absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Lord at the time of death, which is very, very essential, he immediately enters the kingdom of God after quitting his material body. And that's what the life of preparation is there. I was just glancing, preparing for the Japa retreat, some of them. And I came to that one time Sachinandan Swami Maharaj is revealing what is the taste of chanting the holy name. That it should continue even while you are sleeping. And Sachinandan Swami Maharaj has revealed that I think in 1974, Prabhupada was in Germany. And somehow or other Sachinandan Swami Maharaj was there. So Prabhupada was taking a nap during the day. And somehow or other that day, Prabhupada left the door little open. So Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, he was in the next room. And Maharaj heard some murmuring sound. So Maharaj became inquisitive. So he just very silently, not to disturb Prabhupada nap. Very softly walked toward the door, and Sachinananda Swami Maharaj saw Prabhupada's eyes was completely closed. He was sleeping. But he was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And Maharaj cannot believe it, that Prabhupada was constantly, this is the taste of chanting. It should come, that stage, that no matter what, your holy name should always be on the tongue. Then and then at the time of death, we don't know where the time is going to come. And this whole life is to prepare ourselves to meet that wonderful moment of our life, is to live this body in a perfect way. That's the reason we have been coming into this world, and we have every facility. When I see the devotees' life, I just felt how kind Guru and Krishna in our disciplic succession, that they have given all the arrangement necessary to become free from the nuisance of this material existence. What do we need more? Then we will become serious. I don't know. Everything what we need is provided. And if we don't take this advantage at the time of death, as I said repeatedly recently, that there will be a pain in our body like 1,000 scorpion bites us. It's impossible to bear that pain. But the more pain would be by seeing at that moment that all perishable things that we put so much effort throughout our life, we will realize it has no real value. And we will regret, I didn't execute my life. I wasted my life. I don't think that we would like to go through those moments at the end of our life. Reduce your necessity. You don't need so many things. Retire early. You don't have to keep on working to get, because I give that example, one devotee, he keep on working to get the full social security benefit. I think he worked up to 66 to get the full benefit. That's also illusion. And then what happened? He retired. Same night, he wake up early in the morning to take some medicine from the closets. Somehow or other he was not feeling good. That's why he was searching for the medicine. And he fell down. And on the back, he had that granite countertop. Hit on the back. Never had. He can never speak anything for 2.5 years. He lived after that. Nothing. So who knows how those retirement days is going to come to us? There is no guarantee. That's why Prabhupada and all our acharyas, Kumara, Acharat, Pragyo, we should start our devotion from very tender age. We have missed that. I started my devotional practice when I was what? Maybe 36. 36 years was wasted. So we are far behind. But still, Maya Devi is so strong that we feel so complacent about the devotional practice. We think days is gonna come that I will become serious. That is Maya. So let's continue today. After the salvation of Sisupal, King Yudhishthira rewarded all the members present in the sacrificial assembly. He sufficiently remunerated the priest and the learned sages for that engagement in the executions of the sacrifice. And after performing all this routine work, he took his bath. This bath at the end of the sacrifice is also technical. It is called Avabhrutha bath. Lord Krishna thus enabled the performance of the Rashtriya Yagna arranged by King Yudhishthir to be successfully completed, and being requested by his cousins and relatives, he remained in Hastinapur for a few months more. Krishna is so kind. Although King Yudhishthir and his brothers were not willing to have Lord Krishna leave Hastinapur, Krishna arranged to take permission from the king to return to Dwarka. And thus he returned home along with his queen and ministers. The story of a fall of Jay and Vijay from the Vaikuntha planet to the material world is described in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The killing of Sisupal has a direct link with that narration of Jay and Vijay. But the most important instructions that we get from this incident, that Supreme Personality of Godhead being absolute, can give salvation to everyone, whether one acts as his enemy or as his friend. It is therefore a misconception that the Lord acts with someone in a relationship of a friend and with someone else in the relationship of an enemy. His being an enemy or friend is always on the absolute platform. There is no material distinction. But it's a wonderful example that Kunsa, he was also always thinking about Krishna, how he can make arrangement, making so many plans to kill Krishna. So he was constantly thinking about Krishna. So he was also remembering. Yasodamai also was always remembering welfare of his son when he goes to the forest to hold the cows and calf. She was always worried. She was also thinking, what is the difference? It's intentions. So it's not that the practice we do has some result, but the intentions within that service is more important. So the case of the Kamsa, even though he remembered, but he was inimical to Krishna. His intention was not to give pleasure to Krishna versus Yasodamai. Sometimes, she will squeeze the ear, when the parents get angry with the children, they twist the ear. I know that, in the school also in our time, if you don't answer properly, teacher used to, twist our ear. So Yasodamai was even treating Krishna like that. But what was the intentions? Yasodamai has so much love and affections for Krishna. Intentions was to please him. So this is other lesson we should learn. Any activity we do, we should be attentive. When we go in the deity room to worship the Lord, our intention is to please him. But when we see sometime we are so much materially entangled that what we do in material world, haphazard thing. We are not attentive. And then all the paraphernalia that we need to put it very nicely, because those paraphernalia is non different than Krishna. So we do the service, but what intentions? When you cannot take care of this properly, That what is the result? You are making even the offense to the deities. And that's why we are not making advancement in our spiritual life. At least when we do the service to Krishna, become attentive to please him. It says the Vaishnava leave the place better than they found. Put that in your mind that when you enter in the pujari room, it is my duty to leave that better than what you entered in the pujari room. But when I see, so much improvement is needed. And if you don't get those things act together, and then we will blame our guru, we will blame, president, we will blame our guru, we will even blame Srila Prabhupada movement because we are so careless, we make so many offenses. Don't think that Maya Devi will not grab us. Don't think that you have complete faith and you will survive in this devotional life. Give up that thought and pride. We are so fallen. We need the mercy. So here, let's continue. We go off track. The story of fall of Jaya and Vijay from the Vaikuntha planet, the material world, is described in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The killing of Sisupal has a direct link with that narration of Jaya and Vijay. But the most important instructions that we get from these incidents is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being absolute, can give salvation to everyone according to our desire. Not that demon will get to the Goloka Vrindavan. They will get as we see, the Sayujya Mukti, which is nothing. When you start the pure devotion, that Mukti is at the feet of the Bhakti. It's what you call that secondary benefit automatically we derive. And that's the reason devotees are not interested in any kind of that 5 type of liberation. So after King Yudhishthira took his bath after the sacrifice and stood in the midst of all the learned sages and brahmanas, just see this scene. Get those feelings when you read the book. Visualize those places and see how it can churn into our heart. He seemed exactly like the King of Heaven and thus looked very beautiful. King Yudhishthira sufficiently rewarded all the demigods who participated in the yajna, and being greatly satisfied, all of them left praising the king's activity and glorifying Lord Sri Krishna. So when Sukadeva Goswami was narrating these incidents of Krishna's killing Sisupal and describing the successful executions of the Rajasuya Yajna by Maharaj Yudhishthira, he pointed out also that after the successful termination of the yajna, there was only one person who was not happy, and that was Duryodhana. Duryodhana by nature was very envious because of his sinful life. There was a very profound sentence was like this. It will not come to my mind. I'm so fallen. Let's see. Duryodhana by nature was very envious because of his sinful life, and he appeared in the dynasty of Kuru as a chronic disease personified in order to destroy the whole family. Material attachment is like a poison. Why you want to keep on drinking that poison? It will not help us to cure any diseases, but make us weak. So Sukadeva Goswami finally assured Maharaj Parikshit that the pastime of the Lord Krishna, killing of Sisupal and Jarasandha, and the releasing of the imprisoned king. You know, the king we saw, we should learn the lesson. These 20,800 kings, they were royal uh, kings. But when Jarasandha put in the cave, they realized the importance of bhakti. If they have remained in the position of a royal king, they may have never even think to surrender to Krishna. Difficulty must come in our life. Then and then we'll wake up. As long as our material life runs smooth, there is no impetus. Believe me, we will sleep, even though it's not required. We won't be able to maintain our time to wake up. Why? Because we are complacent. We feel comfortable in this influence of Maya Devi. So Sukdev Goswami Asur Maharaj Pari said that the pastime of Lord Krishna, the killing of Sisupal, Jarasandha, and the releasing of the imprisoned king are all transcendental vibration. And anyone who hears this narration from the authorized person, which I am not, but at least we are reading from the word of Srila Prabhupada, we will be immediately freed from all reactions of the sinful activity of the life. What a wonderful message. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of second volume, 19th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Shishupal. So now as we see that only one person was not happy, that was Duryodhana. So the next chapter, 20, is why Duryodhana felt insulted at the end of Rajsuya sacrifice. So we have the time to dwell. King Yudhishthira was known as Ajat Satru, or a person who has no enemy. Therefore, when all men, all demigods, all kings, all sages and saints saw the successful termination of the Rajsuya Yagna performed by King Yudhishthira, they become very happy. That Duryodhana alone was not happy was astounding to Maharaj Parikshit, and therefore he requested Sukadeva Goswami to explain this, why Duryodhana was not happy. So Sukadeva Goswami is responding, he said, quote, "My dear King Parikshit, your grandfather, King Yudhishthira, was a great soul. His congenial disposition attracted everyone as his friend, and therefore he was known as Ajat Satru, one who never created an enemy. He engaged all the members of the Kuru dynasty in taking charge of different departments for the management of the Rajsuya sacrifices. For example, Bhimsena was put in charge of the kitchen department. Haribol. Duryodhana was in charge of the treasury department, the most important department. He gave it to Duryodhana. Sahadev was in charge of the reception department. Nakul in charge of the store department. And Arjuna was engaged in looking after the comfort of the elderly persons. What a wonderful arrangement. So we see that, the Krishna gave Duryodhana a really nice service as a treasury department. The most astonishing feature was that Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead, took charge of washing the feet of all the incoming guests. What a wonderful example Krishna is setting. Like Now I have made my mind. When I go to the temple, when I enter the gate, if I see any devotee, I offer my obeisances. Start from there and you see how your mood will get changed. Sanatana Goswami used 2,000 obeisances to the deities and 2,000 to the different people. When he was doing parikrama, that's the expanded 34 kilometer, not 22 kilometer. Every portion Sanatana Goswami met, he will offer obeisances. We should learn, we should practice something, and I see, I miss my whole life. We never practice. Now, I'm close to my end of my life. At least Krishna has inspired me. So, the most astonishing feature was that Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead, took charge of washing the feet of all the incoming guests. The queen, the goddess of fortune, Draupadi, was in charge of administering the distribution of food. And because Karna was famous for giving charity, he was put in charge of the charity department. This is something, when I read like that, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was so expert that he engaged each and every disciple where he see that might be inclination of that soul. I'm really indebted to Tamal Krishna Maharaj to give me an opportunity to work under his directions. I have no qualification, but he endowed his mercy. And we can see that whoever he choose for particular duty, Krishna must have directed or something, but it was so nice. I feel that this is something wonderful. So same thing Krishna is doing over here. And because Karna was famous for giving charity, he was put in charge of charity department. In this way, Satyaki, Vikarna, Hardikya, Vidura, Burishwara, Santardana, the son of Bahilika, were all engaged in different departments for managing the affair of the Rashtriya sacrifice. They were all so bound in loving affection for King Yudhishthira that they simply wanted to please him. That's wonderful. So when we assign some duty, we should do so diligently that we can please those persons. That should be our intent. So after Sisupal had died by the mercy of Lord Krishna and had become merged in the spiritual existence, and after the end of the Rajasriya Yagna, when all friends, guests and well-wishers had been sufficiently honored and rewarded, King Yudhishthira went to bath in the Ganga. The city of Hastinapur is today standing on the bank of the Yamuna. And the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam that King Yudhishthira went to bathe in the Ganga indicates, therefore, that during the time of the Pandavas, the river Yamuna was also known as Ganga. While the king was taking the Aubhrutha bath, different musical instruments such as murdangas, conch shells, drums, kettle drums, and bugles vibrated. In addition, the ankle bells of the dancing girl jingled. Many groups of professional singers played veena, flute, gongs and cymbals, and thus a tumultuous sound vibrated in the sky. The princely guests from many kingdoms like Sunjaya, Kamboja, Kuru, Kekaya, and Kosal were present with the different flags and gorgeously decorated elephant, chariot, horses, and soldiers. All were passing in a procession, and King Yudhishthira was in the forefront. The executive members, such as the priest, religious minister, and brahmanas, were performing a sacrifice, and all were loudly chanting the Vedic hymns. Just see the scene. The demigods, the inhabitants of the Pitruloka and Gandharvaloka, as well as many sages showered flowers from the sky. That's, common. When we see they are so punctual. They have never missed, every time this wonderful pastime happens, they just shower the flowers from the heavenly planets. The men and women of Hastinapur, Indraprastha, their bodies smeared with scents and floral oils, were nicely dressed in colorful garments and decorated with garlands, jewels, and ornaments. They were all enjoying the ceremony, and they threw on each other liquid substance like water, oil, milk, butter, and yogurt. Some even smeared these on each other's bodies. In this way, they were enjoying the occasion. The professional prostitutes were also engaged by jubilantly smearing this liquid substance on the bodies of the men. And the men reciprocate in the same way. All the liquid substance that had been mixed with turmeric and saffron, and their color was lustrous yellow. We have 3 more minutes. Let's see one paragraph we can read. In order to observe the great ceremony, many wives of the demigod had come on different airplanes, and they were visible in the sky. Similarly, the queens of the royal family arrived gorgeously decorated and surrounded by bodyguards on the surface on different palanquins. And during this time, Lord Krishna, the maternal cousin of the Pandavas, and his special friend Arjuna were both throwing the liquid substance on the bodies of the queens. The queens became bashful, but at the same time, their beautiful smiling brightened their faces. Because of the liquid substance thrown on their bodies, the saris covering them became completely wet. The different part of their beautiful bodies, particularly their breast and their waist, became partially visible because of the wet cloth. The queen also brought in buckets of liquid substances and sprinkled them on the bodies of their brother-in-law. As they engaged in such jubilant activities, their hair fell loose, and the flowers decorating their body began to fall. When Lord Krishna, Arjuna, and the queens were thus engaged in these jubilant activities, persons who were not clean in heart become agitated by lustful desires. In other words, such behavior between pure male and female is enjoyable, but the person who are materially contaminated become lustful. So we will be punctual. We will stop here. And also today, His Holiness Ramapur Swami Maharaj is giving the Bhagavatam class. And then also the Japa retreat class will start this evening. I have asked Amalnam Prabhu to send me the more information, and he promised me last night, but I think he must have forgotten. I reminded him that Prabhu, please share, because I'm not a technical person. So let's see if he has responded. No, he has not read my message. Let me call him to remind him. Hare Krishna, Amalnam Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Ramapat Swami Maharaj. Prabhuji, our group is waiting for that information, how they can be able to log in online. Can you please send me that information?
Yes, I'll do it. Yeah.
Please send it